you. Thank you, everyone. I just want to confirm that A, you can hear me, and B, you can see me. Anybody can unmute and confirm.
We can.
Okay, whoever is speaking, their network is breaking. Okay, but I trust you're hearing me and you're able to see me. So my name is Saya. My other name is Jackson, and I'm totally honored to be here. I've deliberately altered my background, and just this is a 10 seconds of promotion. There's something we're releasing over Easter. This Easter that is coming in a week's time. We are focusing on the whole journey of betrayal, being broken, being buried, but then bouncing back from all of that. So over in my channels, my various social media channels, including YouTube, that's at Saya Jackson, Facebook, which is Authentic Dialogues with Saya Jackson, on Instagram, which is going to be One Saya Jackson. Over on all those channels, we'll be sharing material that you want to check out. We'll be releasing music starting this week on Wednesday. So yeah, we just pray that you may please be part of the project by watching and by liking and by sharing and by commenting and by engaging. At the end of the project, we will be making an invitation for individuals to be gaining more value. If you want to discover your purpose, there's something we're putting together. So that may be something that you want to be interested in. So in other words, look out for the space and the stuff happening starting this week, Wednesday, and through to the Easter weekend. So just be on the lookout. Okay, nimemaliza my few seconds of promotion. Then, of course, during the week, I may share a few trailers and, you're at least privileged to be together. For those who don't know, my name is Jackson Saya, and I am a servant of God and a friend to man. My background is in the life sciences. I did zoology for my undergraduate. I did a master's in medical parasitology. I've been able to make a transition, and now I am a coach. I'm a life transitions coach. I work with people to achieve clarity, to basically eliminate panic and confusion that often is characterized with transitions, so that individuals can go through their transitions with confidence without losing their vision or their values in the process. I'm happily married. My wife is called Karen, and glad to be invited to speak with you guys. When I was invited, I was informed this is going to be like the Leavers Week, the people who are getting ready to leave campus. This is their final week. And so to try and speak to them and through them, like speak addressing them, but also speak in a way that gives value to those who are not necessarily leaving campus at this particular time. And so that's going to be part of the effort of everything we'll be doing. I would like to invite us to consider the book of Ruth, to consider a passage from the book of Ruth. Ruth is a book just, what's it called? Just before Judges, just before, just after Judges. So make your way to the book of Ruth, chapter 1. We're reading Ruth chapter 1 as our guiding book. Ruth is a book after the book of Judges, not before. Whichever way you read your Bible, whether you swipe, whether you tap, whether you scroll, just make sure you're there. Okay, we'll read a bit extensively here. It's a story that we are for those who have some acquaintance with the Bible, may be familiar with. For those who don't, may be a bit strange to them, but it's a very straightforward story. When we read it, you'll be able to get the comprehension of it. There are no weird signs, nothing miraculous there. Now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem of Judah went to sojourn. To sojourn is to stay in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. And the name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife Naomi, and the names of his 2 sons Mahlon and Chilion, Ephrathites of Bethlehem, Judah. And they came to the country of Moab and continued there. And Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left and her 2 sons. And they took them wives of the women of Moab. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth. And they dwelled there about 10 years. And Mahlon and Chilion died also, both of them, and the women were left of their 2 sons and her husband. Then she arose with her daughters-in-law that she might return from the country of Moab, for she had heard that the Lord had visited, while in the country of Moab, how the Lord had visited the people in giving them bread. Therefore she went forth out of the place where she was, and her 2 daughters-in-law with her, and they went their way to return into the way of Judah from Moab. And Naomi said, and to her 2 daughters-in-law, go, return each to your mother's house. The Lord deal kindly with you as he has dealt with me, deal and with you. The Lord grant you that you may find rest, each of you in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voices and wept. And they said unto her, surely we will return with you unto your people. And Naomi said, turn again, my daughters. Why will you go with me? And where yet are there yet any more sons in my womb that they may be your husbands? Turn again, my daughters, go your way. For I am too old to have a husband. If I should say, I have hope, if I should have a husband also tonight, and should also bear sons, would you wait for them until they were grown? And you stay for them from having husbands? No, my daughters, for it grieves me much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord is gone out against me. And they lifted up their voices and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave to her. And she said, behold, your sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return you after your sister-in-law. And Ruth said, entreat me not to leave you, or to return from following after you. For where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, will I die, and will I be buried. The Lord do so to me and more also, if aught unto death, if nothing but death puts us apart. When she saw that she was steadfastly minded to go with her, then she left speaking unto her. So the two went until they came unto Bethlehem. And it came to pass, when they were come to Bethlehem, after all the city was moved about them, and they said, It is this Naomi? And she said unto them, Call me not Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went out full, and the Lord has brought me home again empty. And then why call me Naomi, seeing the Lord has terrified against me, and the Almighty has afflicted me? So Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, with her, which returned out of the country of Moab, and they came to Bethlehem in the beginning of barley harvest. Interesting story. Very, very straightforward. If we did English comprehension, you should be able to understand those pieces there. So what do I want to speak today? I want to speak straight from the heart and begin by saying to the leavers and to all of us a few very direct things. Number one, all of us will end up somewhere in life, all of us. If we were to reconvene an alumni Sabbath 10 years from now and invite each of the leavers and any of the people who are even there now back together, 10 years from now, God lending us life, Christ not having returned, each one of us will be somewhere in life at that point, each one of us. The only difference is some of us will be somewhere in life on purpose. Others will be somewhere in life just because that's where life has taken us. And so the one question I want to begin putting into our minds as early as this in our journey together for this week and in this series is, where do you want to end up? When you're not intentional, or when you're not well supported in your next transition of life, you could end up finding yourself in the shoes of Naomi. The English word we use to describe what Naomi is going through is she's very cynical. She is so cynical that she does not want to be called her true name, Naomi. She wants to be called Mara, which just means bitter. She is so bitter with life at this point, at the end of Ruth chapter 1, that she's not even hiding it. She's even requesting for a name change to reflect the cynicism and the bitterness she's having with life. And I want to ask, this is Naomi returning home, coming back home, as we're doing this week, but she's coming back home bitter. Naomi is the older woman in this story. She will play good roles later on in chapters 2 to 4. But you realize the book ends up being called the name of Ruth. Naomi is the more experienced individual here, but the book ends up getting the name of the less experienced person. Naomi is the Jew. She's the Israeli. But the book ends up getting the name of Ruth, who is a Moabite. And when you read anything about how Moabites came to be, it's both a testament of grace, but also very fascinating that this book is named after a Moabite woman when there is a Jewish, older, more experienced woman. And I'm bringing that all to the fore at this point to challenge us to the awareness that each one of us will arrive to some quote unquote home in this life. Believers, here, listen to me well. Each one of us will arrive to some home. But some of us will arrive there like Naomi, bitter, broken, cynical. And others will arrive. Ruth has gone through the similar thing. She's lost a father-in-law. She's lost two brothers-in-law. She's lost a husband. Naomi has lost two sons and Naomi has lost two sons and a husband. So all of them have experienced loss. So by the time they're going to home, Naomi is actually going back to her original home. Ruth is making it a new home, but Ruth is arriving there better, while Naomi is arriving there bitter. Ruth is arriving there to build. Naomi is arriving there broken. And as we journey through this story today and God willing through this week, as we pick various gems, as we turn the story and look at it at various angles, my invitation to you, who's going through some transition today is, what condition do you want to arrive home at? Do you want to be Naomi-like, or do you want to be Ruth-like? I'm not blaming either. If you went through the amount of loss that Naomi has gone through, her mental anguish is understandable, completely so. However, also, her state is very educative to each one of us. So today I want to look at, how does Naomi move from being Naomi to becoming Mara? In other words, how does she move from Bethlehem to bitter, to calling herself Mara? Beth in Hebrew means house. Beth means house. And then the second part of the suffix of it normally says house of what? So Bethel means house of God. Bethphage means, I think, house of figs, or house of phages. Bethlehem means a house of bread. Okay, so Naomi is going back to the house of bread, Bethlehem, but she's going to, she's going to Bethlehem at a time of plenty. She left it at a point of scarcity. She's going back at a time of plenty, but rather than going there happy, she's going there when she is bitter. I'm going just a slightly ahead of myself. The opportunities that are there in that we will see in Ruth 2 and Ruth 3 and Ruth 4, Ruth is able to make better use of the opportunities. Ruth is able to make better use of the opportunities available in Bethlehem than a native of Bethlehem is able to. You will see ahead when you go ahead in the story that it is Ruth who is able to go out and glean in the farm. We may excuse Naomi because she's older. It is Ruth who is able to go out and find love. She's not a Jew, but she's able to come and find love, from a near kinsman, as it were. Ruth is able to make the most of the opportunities that are there. And, even just going right ahead of myself in the story ends up with Ruth being joined into the lineage of Jesus Christ, of becoming, what is it called? A great-great-grandmother of Jesus Christ. And therefore, for you, my dear leavers, how you arrive leaving home, your school has been home for you for the past 4 years. You've built memories and everything. And now how are you going to step out? Some of you are going to step out into the world more Naomi-like. And others are going to step out more Ruth-like. You're going to be operating in similar environments with similar challenges and similar opportunities. And some are going to make great use of the opportunities while others are not going to do so. And the difference is what we begin seeing today, and we learn through various aspects of it during the week, with the direct encouragement from me that, hey, I really pray that God will help us, that we can and we shall become more like Ruth. We will learn from Ruth and be able to make the most of our opportunities. when eventually Ruth will join and become the father of Obed, will become the father of Jesse, will become the father of David, and that lineage will go there. Ruth is able to put in motion things that have a profound impact to eternity. And so might it be also with your very own life, that some of the choices and the posture you're going to go through, while it may in the immediate seem small and insignificant to you, it might be God's appointed way to put in motion sets of circumstances that will be a source of tremendous blessing to people through time, and who knows, maybe for eternity. And how you go home, how you leave home is going to be deterministic of this. Why am I putting all of this intro and prelude to this? It's to encourage us. Why do I think we need to do this? Is because how we go from the end of school into what we like calling the world out there is going to determine many things, some that we are aware, some that we're not even aware. And we want to make sure we can make the next set of transitions in the best possible way. But how does Ruth become, how does Naomi become pessimistic, and specifically, how does she become cynical to the point of saying, don't call me Naomi, call me Mara? There are 3 steps you see in the story. Step number 1 is Naomi began the journey very optimistically. Naomi begins the journey very optimistically. When you read in Ruth chapter 1, verses 1 through to 3, Naomi is leaving Bethlehem at a time when there seems to be scarcity. I think there was a drought, okay? And she's going to Moab. So it's probably, and when you read the words there, she went to sojourn. To sojourn was, a sojourn is somebody who is staying for it's almost like a brief stay. So the intention was not a long-term stay. And every wording there seems to be hopeful. She's just going to stay briefly until there's reprieve. She's going to stay briefly until things are okay, and then she probably would come back. That seems to be when you read the language of the text, that seems to be the original intent. Whichever way, there's hope, because she has her children, she has her 2 boys, she has a husband. And by the way, Elimelech means my God is king, so he has a husband who even has the right name. She has a husband who is responsible enough that at a time of drought, he makes a move. We will look later on about the wisdom of the move, but at least he's able to make a move to make sure this provision is catered for. What am I saying in all of this? Step number 1 in the journey of Naomi moving from being happy to becoming what we meet at the end of Ruth chapter 1 is, interesting enough, is that the journey began with hope. She began off as a hopeful person. Hope for food, hope for being with family, hope for better times, hope for a short, quick stay, hope, whichever way. She began hopefully. Then step 2 happened. And step 2 is life happened. And in her case, in the case of Naomi, she loses the husband, first of all. First of all, she doesn't even lose her husband. First of all, instead of it becoming a sojourn, instead of it being a short stay, it becomes a longer stay. Why is this significant to me? It's significant to me because if you're moving from a place to another for a sojourn, how you pack, how you prepare your mind, how you prepare yourself for a short stay is not the same way with how you prepare yourself for a complete relocation or a long stay. So when you read Ruth, it says they went for a sojourn, which means she initially probably was kind of operating in 2 worlds. Shiphan was in Moab, but there was the expectation and the hope for a quick return to Israel, to Bethlehem soon. I can almost imagine that because it's a sojourn, there's part of their property still in Bethlehem. at least because they are Bethlehemites, they have land back home they have land back home in Bethlehem. They probably have some other possessions that they've left there, because the idea of coming to Moab was a sojourn to just go through the drought season, and then they'll probably be back. But then the Bible says it changed from being a sojourn, and then it says, and they continued for a while. And at the end of the day, it was quite a while, because there's a 10-year period that's added. 10 years is not a sojourn. 10 years is it's almost like a relocation. So first change happens to her is that what had initially been designed to be a sojourn becomes a long stay. It turns out longer than they had imagined. Then secondly, she loses the husband. That's a big, so it's hard in any place to lose a husband. And if the loss had happened at home, it would still be lonely and defeating. But at least if it had happened when she was home, there would be kinsmen, there would be family near them. But she loses a husband in a foreign land. Okay, and from the language of the text, it would even seem the husband is not even buried in Bethlehem. It seems like the husband is buried there in Moab, and they continued. So change number one, life change number one she experiences is, instead of it being what was calculated to be a short stay, ends up to be a very long stay. Two, she has lost first of her husband, and then there's hope, because the sons get married. That at least for a mother would be like, okay, the family has been added. It probably provides some amount of buffer for them. There's hope. So she's moved from the hope of okay, we're here for that drought. Then, oh no, it's a long stay. Then, oh no, my husband is dead. And then, oh, at least my children have married. And then they stay together for 10 years. And since there's no mention of children, that's very telling. You know, a whole 10 years without children in a marriage situation, that would be probably a strenuous thing. So the lack of children there is not explicitly spoken about, but it is implied. Okay, if you know anything about the fruitfulness of marriage and stuff, the lack of a children for 10 years for both sons, that's quite telling. It probably is also a low moment. And then after that, the two sons lose their wives. We are not told if it's one after the other. We're not told if it's in one swoop. We're not told if it's during a pandemic happened or something. But what we just know is the two sons die. And so now we move from a family of 5 to a family of 3 widows. What am I trying to show you here is step number 1. Remember, just keep the pieces, then we'll soon be applying them to you. So step number 1 is hope. The whole journey began with hope, you know, the things to look for. She began very optimistically, she began very hopeful. Then step number 2, as I've been describing, is life happened. You know, her expectations met life, or they took a big knock with life. And as you could see, the things we mentioned in life were not always downhill. It was some up, some down. So the ups and downs of life. And in her case, her ups were few, her downs were many and very deep. You know, 3 deaths is quite an amount. Not having grandchildren is also quite an amount to take on. And so the hope she had begun with meets or encounters life, okay? The reality of life. It takes really a big sucker punch from life. And unfortunately, in her case, her hope bleeds. So she comes out bleeding from the experiences of life. And that is why she decides, I'm going back. And there's some, when you read the text of how Naomi is going back home, you almost see her changing her mind midway, because when she gets up with the intention she's going back home, and her 2 daughters-in-law, Orpah and Ruth, are going with her. And it seems the expectation is we are going together. But on the road, she has this moment and says, no, you guys go back, you know. And this is typical behavior of people who are cynical. The parts of their behavior that is not very rational. And you now see her, what you see for her from the experience on the road going forward is the third phase. And the third phase is what I call she is bleeding on every other thing in life. And what do I mean by she is bleeding? She has come to certain conclusions. So her journey began with hope. She began her journey with lots of hope. Then the hope encountered very hard battering from life. And because of that, it reshaped her hope into darkness and despair and despondence. And now that has become her dominant view of life and view of things. And it's the lens she's looking at everything in life. And so right there from the road, you begin seeing her telling the daughters, like, just go back, let God deal with you, go back to your mother's place. Like, these are girls who've been properly married and are now just being sent to their mothers. And she's saying, like, let God give you husbands there. And I'm wondering, like, had she lost faith that they could get husbands in Israel? Had she lost faith in her ability to still continue being their mother? How did she want women who'd been with her this for 10 years plus to just suddenly go back to their mothers? Why was she transferring that pain and burden to another woman rather than being able to live with it? But you see, such questions are only understood when you understand the cycle of cynicism, which is in the final phase, which is now what Naomi is experiencing and exhibiting now, is that she is now bleeding on everything and on everyone. So her view about life has become completely destroyed, completely dented, completely checkered. If you thought about it, she went to Moab wearing one kind of shades that were nice and clear and stuff. And then when life has been working on her, her shades have now changed into dark. And now everything she sees through these shades. Now, if you've ever worn shades, one thing you know for sure is the world you see through the shades, the world exists, but the color you're seeing is not the real color. It's the colors determined by the shades you're wearing. And then until and unless you're aware that you're wearing certain shades, you could begin making wrong decisions. You could buy a dress thinking it's a certain color when really it's really the color of your shades. You could think somebody looks a certain way when it's really nothing more but the shades you are. And that's what cynicism does to us at the third level. It makes us bleed on everything. It gives us a wrong shade of life, and we begin looking through those shades of life and seeing everything through our distorted, corrupted, hurtful lenses. So the third phase is she goes around bleeding at everything and everyone. She's bleeding on the daughters. She's telling them, go back. Like, just go back, go to your mothers, and look at the language she uses. It's very logical, but it's also very painful. It's I'm too old to have a man, but even if I had hope and took a man and got children, would you wait for them to be? The answer, of course, is no. But you see, that's not the only way they could get husbands. That is not and the whole thing about the women was fine. They had also experienced loss like she did, but these women were just not only going to be about husbands and wives. But you see, Naomi, in her distorted view, her world has become colored by that experience. And so because of those three things, Naomi is arriving back in Bethlehem bitter. Now, let's leave Naomi there, but let's pick those three steps. Let's pick those three steps and let's put them to your life now. But also let's forewarn you about your life going forward. The three steps are: you begin with hope. The hope encounters real life, which has real hard knocks. And then if you're not careful after that, your knocked life goes about bleeding on everything and on everyone. you guys are about to finish your exams, and I know you have some measure of hope. You've done something in technology, and yeah, the world right now is singing everything technology, and you have these dreams of, by when I'm 20 what, I will be doing this. By when I'm 30 what, I hope to be married. There's that plan. There's hope. There's, you're bright-eyed, you're bushy-tailed, you believe the world is your oyster, you're going out there. You're beginning with hope. And please, by all means, please have all the hope. You've studied entrepreneurship, you've been doing your hustle of printing and what have you, and you want to now scale it when you get out there. You've given your CV to that uncle or that auntie who said, hey, I'll look into it, and they're well placed, and you're very hopeful that they will do something. You have a family business, or you're doing a course that we call we believe you must be employed. You're doing medicine, or you're doing nursing, or you're doing, one of the courses which we believe you must get a job. So the journey begins with hope. And same thing with your, you've wooed a woman and she's okay being your girlfriend now, and it's begun with a lot of hope. You're sweeting each other and babying each other and texting, and the calls, it don't seem to end. It's begun with enormous amounts of hope. You're a fresher or a second year, and the life has begun with lots of hope. Your grades are okay, you're rolling on well, you're rolling in with the punches, you're being sought after, you're an elder in church, it begins with hope. You're the first or one of the few guys in your village who's made it to campus. So back in the village, you're a star. They're saying your star is looking bright and shining. It begins with hope. But let me say the second step is going to be real. Life is going to happen. The uncle and auntie who promised you they will look and do something will do nothing. They will avoid you. You will only begin meeting them during family functions, which happen once in Christmas, at the end of and they will, keep chanting to you the same lies. The church elders who keep praising you that you're doing a good job in church, and you thought they could be able to help you be able to get a job, will do nothing for you. And you will see them doing everything for their children or for their relatives, but they'll almost seem like they're okay with you just being where you are. The medicine jobs, you will get a medicine job, then you will get in there and begin realizing, wait, I'm not making as much money. It's very demanding. It's extremely taxing. The older people are being such strong gatekeepers, and for me to get ahead, I'm sacrificing health and life and limb to go through there. Heck, some of us will tarmac, some of us will not be employed in the lines we have thought about, or the employment will come slower. And what's worse is you will look on the other side and begin realizing, wait a minute, the guys who are either not as smart as you in school, or who are not as principled or as straightforward as you are the ones who are ascending, and they're getting their way ahead. And you're like, why is life, hitting me? You will apply and you will get some interviews, and then they'll go quiet. You will apply and then you'll get really close, and you'll find corruption, people asking for bribes, or individuals who want you to violate principles like Sabbath or your body or your conscience. You'll get individuals who will tell you, my sisters, that, hey, they want you to have a sexual affair with them, and you will get either a promotion or a hiring letter. Or my brothers will get individuals who are saying you need to give them a kickback, and then you will get, and those are now the realities of life. And my question to you is, what is it that you have within you that when you hope, and please don't kill your hope, don't diminish it, don't lose it, don't dampen it, but when your hope meets some of these real things I have said about life, okay, when you will step out and you'll soon realize, wait a minute, the thing I have spent 4 years studying in school is obsolete. The skills my professors have told me are only theoretical. or AI and machine learning is quickly replacing everything. I'm doing a routine job and it's only a matter of weeks or a few years and this will be deprecated and I just need to completely reskill myself. And whereas I thought I'd launch myself, things are not working. Or you meet disease or delay or death or denial or whichever other defeatist Ds we meet in life. When life meets the Ds of life, when life meets, what will you be? Will you thereafter, do you have the tools? Do you have the awareness to experience them? And I'm just being candid. You're a believer, yes, I agree, but it doesn't give you a free pass around life. It doesn't give you a free pass around calamity, okay? But what it does is it gives you something so that it gives you shock absorbers, it gives you armor, so that when you experience these things of life, rather than them unsettling you, you are able to A, endure them well, and then B, you are able to recover quicker, and so that you don't go bleeding all through in life. And then often now, step 3 after that comes in, where now your sucker punch experiences in life, if you're not careful, give you new lenses that are false. But just the fact that something is false doesn't make it feel emotional, doesn't make it feel deep, doesn't make it feel real, doesn't make it feel inauthentic, okay? Naomi's expressed feelings were real, were very authentic. Her anger was visceral, her bitterness was real. It was there, it was feelable, but it was not necessarily accurate. When life hits you, it makes you feel certain ways. It makes you think certain ways. It makes you look at things certain ways. But it doesn't mean that those feelings and those outlooks are necessarily accurate. The fact that you're feeling them deeply, the fact that you're feeling them inside, doesn't mean necessarily that it is accurate. If you get jabbed in the eye, if you get a good jab in the eye and your vision becomes blurry, it doesn't mean that things around you are blurry. It just means your eye has been wounded and you need help. And will you have, therefore, the awareness to know that, wait a minute, the thing I am seeing, the belief that every person is corrupt, the belief that what I need is a godfather to hold my hand for me to get an appointment or a promotion, the belief that I need to be a slay queen or a slay king, I need to have an affair for me to get going, the belief that since everyone in quotes is bribing, I also need to bribe my way through these things. Those beliefs, I know they'll be there, they'll be deep, there'll be even things to reinforce them, there'll be social media to remind you, there'll be the Instagram photos for your friend who you know is having an affair with somebody the age of her father and is being taken to the Dubais and all of these things. There'll be all of those things to reinforce those beliefs. But that's where the child of God now comes and says, I know those things I'm experiencing are real. I'm not denying them, but are they true? Is this accurate thinking? Or is this just a case of my life, my hope has experienced real life and is now bleeding, and now I'm seeing life through the distorted, bleeding lenses? What's the book of Ruth about? It's about many things, but as relates to today's addressing about cynicism, the book of Ruth gives every person who's preparing to leave or go home, who's preparing to Bethlehem is a house of bread. So it's the place of plenty. It's a place of purpose. It's the place of your mission. So for those who are leaving to go into the word, and for those who are preparing to do that, if you're in fast day, you're already beginning to prepare. The book of Ruth reminds us how to become aware about this monster called cynicism, and B, how to prepare for it so that it does not rob us of our peace. It does not rob us of our potential. It does not make us operate like Naomi, who had all the advantages. She was Jewish. She was more experienced. She was back in her own home turf. Yet the person who really emerges being the star of the show is Ruth. She was an outsider. She was not from the Jewish, she was younger, she was not as experienced, but Ruth is able to deal better with cynicism than Naomi is. And at the end of the day, Ruth is plugged into the lineage. Naomi does not get that. So what does generally the book of Ruth do to the question of cynicism? Number one, it allows us, it reminds every person who's going through cynicism to confront their feelings with truth. Confront their feelings with truth. Please notice, I'm not saying confuse, or I'm not saying smother, okay? But I'm saying confront. So confront means, one, I'm admitting. When I'm confronting you, I'm admitting your presence. I'm admitting you're there. But I'm confronting you, I'm giving a counter, I'm coming with a counter preposition. So because we know one of the key drivers of our cynicism, that is denying us the ability to function optimally and be able to become all we should be at home, is it distorts our view or application of the truth. What the book of Ruth does is it reminds us that A, for us to overcome cynicism, we need to become adept at confronting our feelings with the truth. I'm angry, yes, I am feeling a certain way, yes, but the enough question is not, am I feeling deeply about it, but the enough question to ask is it true? I believe that everyone is bribing their way. Yes, I feel it deeply. The newspapers drive that theme, the social media is awash with it, but is it true? Are there not people out there who are earning an honest wage, who've been able to make it through different fields? So how do you overcome cynicism? Number one is we begin confronting our feelings with the truth. Have you done that? Are you willing to do that? Number two is, in the general theme of the book of Ruth, is Ruth does a better job with her cynicism because she analyzes her opportunities. She analyzes her opportunities differently. Okay, so number one, she confronts her feelings with truth. Number two is she analyzes her opportunities differently, meaning she analyzes her opportunities with her skills. Let me explain what that means. Because of her upbringing, Ruth has certain skills. Her environment has changed. She's from Moab, and now she's going to operate in Israel. She takes time to learn. When we will read the rest of the week, Ruth begins from being a gleaner. Gleaner just means is the things that people have left behind is what she's gleaming in the barley field. That's where she begins. But it is from beginning as a gleaner that Ruth is able to make better use of her opportunities. Naomi, on the other hand, is aware about the whole gleaming and stuff. She's older, we can agree, but she sits at home, and it is Ruth who does the gleaming and then brings the food to Naomi. So if we are going to become individuals who overcome cynicism, we need to begin relooking at our opportunities, not through the lens of our titles. Okay, Naomi is, in my view, a bit challenged because she's looking at her presence in Bethlehem through her title. One, it's home ground. Two, she's seeing herself as a widow, and that's the posture she has taken to her opportunities, that, hey, you know what, I'm a widow, this is my home ground, I'm in need. But Ruth is taking a totally different posture. She's saying, okay, there is barley harvest happening. I'm going to take a look of these opportunities through a totally different lens. I am a responsible daughter-in-law, and I have skills. I can go, I can gather. So for us to begin addressing our cynicism, we need to begin looking at our opportunities through the lens of our skills, not of our titles. So you will graduate with a Bachelor of Commerce in finance, okay? But when you go into the market out there, there'll be limited opportunities to employ you on that title. What you need to do is to step back and ask yourself, what is my skill set? Not what is my title. My title is BCom Finance, but what is my skill set? My skill set is problem solving. My skill set is statistics and analysis. My skill set is reporting. That's a skill set that is there. And then begin seeing what other areas need this particular skill set. And you may soon be shocked, like, okay, I could actually spend some time, and in the next 3 months, if I just add something about data science to it, I can be able to pivot in a way that my skill set can help me glean the opportunities that exist in this market. And therefore, rather than sit at home cynical like Naomi, you can be in the field gleaming like Ruth, because your posture towards your opportunities is informed by your skills and not your title. So how is Ruth able to do better? Number one is confronting your feelings with the truth. Number two is taking the posture towards opportunities with your skills rather than doing it with your titles. And then thirdly is Ruth is dependent on God. Okay, so subjecting your experiences to God. Rather than making your experiences God, you take your experiences and bring them to God, that He may be able to help you know what to do with them. So if you've gone through loss, you're not a loser. Okay. If you've gone through failed experiences, you're not a failure. Some of us, the reason we are forever cynical is because what we've ended up doing is we have made a God out of our experiences. And we've made an entire label, and we are over-identified with our experiences. And this, therefore, makes us not see beyond our experiences. We're not able to learn from them because the experience itself has become supreme. It's become almighty. It's become the final thing. But the people who are able to overcome cynicism and avoid being trapped in its jaws are the people then who are able to step back and say, I will not make a God. I'll not make a final identity. I'll not finally surrender to this experience. I will submit it to God, and then through His lens and by His power, I'll be able to reinterpret it. I'll be able to re-engage with it. So let me ask you, you did get a soup in third year, but that doesn't make you a soupologist, It just means you had a setback and you're able to bounce back, and now you're going to graduate. So same thing in life. You probably will tarmac for a year, but that doesn't make you a career tarmacer. It just means you experienced a setback. But if you then allow your whole identity and your whole sense of worth and your whole meaning in life and your whole outlook and worldview of life to be overly identified with your experiences, then your experiences become idols and you're not able to make the most out of it. By doing those three things, confronting our feelings with the truth, taking a posture to opportunities that is informed by our skills, and then taking our experiences to God rather than making them God, Ruth is able to avoid getting caught up in the trap of cynicism. And as a result, she's able to walk the fullest possible path. And in her case, she was plugged into the Messiah's lineage. And so let me ask you, even now as we speak, we know that our economy is, things are biting, stuff is not looking positive. Some of you are already in a posture to life, even before graduation or as you're going through school, you're already in a posture to life that is more Ruth-like. Yet others are in a posture to life that is more Naomi-like. The difference is not the experiences. The difference is some of us have hope that has been hit with life and is now bleeding on everything, and it produces cynicism. But others have been able to acknowledge their feelings, but then confronted it with the truth. And then they've been able to begin looking at the opportunities, not through the lens of their titles, but looking at it through the lens of their skill set. And then they've been able to take their experiences and bring them to God rather than make their experiences God. And by so doing, they're able to find the grace, the strength, the resolve to bounce back from cynicism. Cynicism will cost you your effectiveness. Cynicism will cost you your likability. Cynicism will make you not see opportunities. It will make you see problems where there are possibilities. And importantly, it may make you eventually become more cynical towards God himself and may affect your relationship with him. So my dear friends, as we begin now in earnest this entire week about living home, I would like to encourage us to bring our cynical attitudes, our cynical spirits, our cynical experiences, and bring them to God and trade them for God's hope, God's love, God's peace. Heavenly Father, we pray that as we continue this week, your Holy Spirit will lead us and you'll help us have victory over sin, over the flesh, over the devil, and over the world. And please, Father, help us hope again, love again, endure again, and importantly, thrive again in you. I praise you and I thank you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.